Today we're going to talk about my thoughts about the new Thomas the Tank Engine television show. Well, this is kind of like another reboot of Thomas the Tank Engine or something like that, I don't know. The animation in the show actually looks pretty good, but the face of Thomas the Tank Engine looked pretty awful. Remember the old Thomas the Tank Engine face from the old TV show? You know, the models? It looks so cute, but nowadays it made him look Asian. What the hell? That's kind of awful. He looks like a old man, or he looks like a Chinese person. What the hell? They made Thomas the Tank Engine Chinese? He's not Chinese, he's British, for God's sakes. The trains do have British accents, of course, and that's pretty good. Well, the show was actually made in the UK, of course, but Thomas the Tank Engine has like a little kid's voice. Remember the model series, how Thomas the Tank Engine had a grown-up voice? Well, that's the narrator, of course. But Thomas the Magic Railroad was the first time where all the trains have different voices. Like most delays get the voice of trains, and the guy gets the voice Thomas the Tank Engine. Well, it's supposed to be youthful looking. Do you guys know a guy from the Elfman? You know that taxi driver from the Elfman? It's supposed to voice as Thomas the Tank Engine from the movie because Britt Allcroft discovered him and liked his talent. It would be kind of cool to have a Manx taxi driver as Thomas the Tank Engine, don't you think? Except the Hollywood producers rejected them because his voice sounds a bit too old, so instead Britt Allcroft decided to hire a Canadian guy to play Thomas the Tank Engine. Hold on a second, I did not know the voice actors of Thomas the Tank Engine are Canadian. That's weird. I thought they'd be like an American or a British, but they're Canadian. Well, it kinda makes sense that the movie's actually made in Canada. It's a UK, American, Canadian production because Canada's really cheap, of course. The animation in the show actually looks pretty good in my opinion. I like the way they made the color and the brushes and then made them look darkish looking. They made it look realistic. It looks like a model train layout and CGI. Everything in that looks real. Well, this is kind of like a response to that one cartoon series called All Engines Go. Remember that cartoon series that mostly pissed off a lot of Thomas the Train fans? Like us growing up? Yep, that's right. They decided to have a reboot series of the new Thomas the Tank Engine. Looks pretty good, except the problem is Thomas the Tank Engine moves around too much. In the TV show of the models, they don't move around by themselves. Well, of course they move around by trains, but they don't move like people, like moving their bodies like left and right. What the hell? Thomas the Tank Engine doesn't do that in the old TV show. He stood still. Even like Robert W. Autry once said Thomas the Tank Engine stories to be more realistic. A more realistic, accurate versions of trains. Trains cannot come out of tracks and move by themselves. It's not gonna work. That's stupid. So the new Thomas the Tank Engine show kinda looks like Paw Patrol. Yeah, like Paw Patrol, the voices and stuff like that. Like, seriously, this is Thomas the Train, not Paw Patrol. What the hell is this? And the freight cars with the faces move around? What the hell? They don't do that in the old TV show back in my day. You can watch it on YouTube and you can watch it on Netflix. How cool is that? When I was a kid, when I first saw Thomas the Tank Engine, we didn't have YouTube or Netflix. None of that technology existed yet. I used to watch the episodes all the time on videotape. The company that owns Thomas the Tank Engine is Mattel? What the hell? That is so disgusting. Thomas the Tank Engine used to be owned by the Britt Allcroft Company, not Mattel. What the hell? What's going on here? This is so stupid. Do you remember the time when we see Thomas the Tank Engine on Twitter or on Facebook or Instagram with a new Thomas the Tank Engine that looks like in the TV show, except his face looks so different? It kind of looks like the Bachman Thomas the Train I used to have when I was a kid. I'm not joking. They made him look Asian. What the hell? Isn't Thomas the Tank Engine supposed to be a white European guy, not like an Asian guy? I'm not being racist towards Asians, but they made his face look Asian. That is so racist. It's like that's so racist. They should make his face more accurate to the TV show. Here's a sample of Thomas the Tank Engine. Look at his face. That's not very accurate to the TV show. He looks Chinese. That is so racist. No offense to Chinese people, I love Chinese people, but I don't think they should make Thomas the Tank Engine's face look ugly. They made him look Asian. That is so racist. So the theme in the new Thomas the Tank Engine show is all about friendship. and they're helping each other. I don't know if that's true or not. Do friends help each other? Sometimes they do, but it didn't really taught me about friendship growing up. It mostly taught me about vehicles. I do have a close relationship with my trains when I was a kid, but I never made any friends with real kids because the show doesn't really teach you about friendship that much. They only teach you about trains. That's all they teach you. If you want to watch a cartoon show about friendship, you can watch Sesame Street or you can watch Arthur on PBS. That's a really good show that teaches you about friendship. If the new CGI Tom the Tank Engine show is awful, turn it back to models. The models used to be really cool. I think the model trains are probably too expensive to make. Otherwise, I'll make my own Tom the Tank Engine episodes and scale trains. If the new show sucks anyway. This is a little kid show. I'm not a little kid anymore, but I used to like that show when I was little. I did not know model trains as my interest when I was little. There's one kid in my apartment building. He's Lithuanian. He loves trains a lot. Even the hotel lady. Do you know that girl who works in the apartment building? The reception lady? She was showing that little boy pictures of trains, like the Hogwarts Express. And I was asking that lady, what's the little boy doing in your office? And the lady told me, we're just looking at pictures of trains. So the boy's mom is actually calling her phone. She has these two labradoodles who are barking at me when I came into the office just to hang out because I have no internet in my apartment building. I personally don't know any kids growing up who saw Tom the Tank Engine. That's because I was too close to my mom and dad. But I did grow up in California. My dad did not live with us in California. I was with my mom all the time. I had a really good friendship with my mom, but sometimes we didn't get along very well because my mom likes school stuff. She doesn't like fun at all. She likes boring school stuff and art museums. She doesn't even like trains at all. My dad loves trains. And Tom the Tank Engine's one of my dad's favorite TV shows. That's because the show was narrated by Ringo Starr, you know, the Beatles, of course. I never noticed my childhood show was actually narrated by a Beatle. That's kind of funny, isn't it? Nowadays, the show is narrated by unknown people. So anyway, that's my thoughts about the new Tom the Tank Engine TV show. I just saw the trailer of it. It looks like an okay show, but it looks a little bit awful. It looks terrible. Doesn't look as good as the old TV show. Even Tom the Tank Engine fans saw it was terrible also.